You may have heard UFOs buzzing around. Heard the UFO buzz in the media, social media, Twitter, news media. And this is not another UFO sighting that we've had too many times that it's gotten boring. This is something different. This story just broke about a day ago. It all seems to have stemmed from this article in the New York Times. So I'm going to go through this with you, and I will decipher it for myself to see what's really going on here with this story. What is the breaking news here? And I don't know where this is going to go. I have no agenda here. I've heard enough to know it might get into politics. Of course, the Pentagon is involved here, but I don't want to talk about politics again, but I might have to a little. But I want to keep the focus on UFOs and figure out the truth of what's going on so we can understand future news, which they say is coming up. Title, No Longer in Shadows. Pentagon's UFO unit. They say they will make some findings public. Now right there kind of makes me skeptical. Well, they did that 3 years ago. We're going to see that here coming up. And didn't they do that with Project Blue Book, where they said, oh, nothing to see here? They basically said, yeah, there's something to see, but it doesn't concern national security, so they closed the book on that project. And before we get going here, I don't want to bring it up, but I should. The New York Times, I just don't know about them. They have come up in my videos so many times. It's usually bad, so I'm critical of this newspaper. That might have nothing to do with this, but I don't know. And for the record, I don't think they actually make things up in their news section. Now, their opinion section's a different story. And why is it that was the New York Times? They come up so much. That's why the president always is criticizing them. So it's unfortunate that we have this added ingredient. But let's just get to the story. For over a decade, the program, classified briefings. Okay, here is from 3 years ago. U.S. Navy releases videos of unexplained flying objects. What we've seen in the past is stuff maybe that was leaked out. But this here, they released this on their own. Which, of course, brings up the question, why do that? The U.S. Navy has officially published previously released videos. Oh yeah, they were leaked, but now they're saying it's official, that they weren't, faked by Hollywood like they did with... I'm just kidding. Despite Pentagon statements that it disbanded a once covert program to investigate unidentified flying objects, it remains underway. Pentagon officials will not discuss the program, which is not classified, but deals with classified matters. It appeared last month in a Senate committee report outlining spending on the nation's intelligence agencies. The program, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, was to standardize collection and reporting. Now, see, here is where I'd like to know, is this actually true? Is it the way they're saying? Yeah, former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, it's a name I know. I guess it's now McConnell. Horrible person. He could be out soon. Right, other nations. See, it appears that our government, well, not the shadow government, but, Congress, our representatives are now taking the topic of UFO seriously. Something's there, focusing on our military bases. We finally gotten to the point where they can't just ignore it anymore. Of course, the people behind the scenes, see, as you can see, they never stopped investigating this, which I could have told you that. Of course they didn't. This is a real thing that's going on. They're not going to just stop. But it's our representatives that are no longer ignoring this up front, and they're saying, we the people should know too. Of course they didn't stop investigating, because either this is an adversary nation like China or Russia, and of course we're going to want to know. And if it's something we don't know about, we're going to want to know that. Okay, yeah, I heard about this. Senator Marco Rubio, Florida, Republican. Oh, see, too many red flag words here. But I'm going to ignore that because I really don't think it's connected. He's the acting chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. He told a CBS affiliate, he said he was concerned about reports of unidentified aircraft over American military bases. Yeah, we should all be concerned. This has been going on for decades, but they wouldn't even acknowledge that it was happening. Yeah, right here. Now see, let's say this is China. Let's leave Russia out of this. Let's say China is responsible for these crafts. That would mean they've made some technological leap, which It's why I've never believed this was terrestrial. Not only is this technology way out of human league, but also the type of activity we see is alien to us, which is another reason why people assume that it's aliens, because humans don't go around doing this stuff. These UFOs are plainly visible right over the bases, right over airports. Why would they make themselves so visible? With this kind of technology, they could be far away, not visible to us. So back a few years ago, the previous director of this Pentagon program was Luis Elizondo, who was a former military intelligence official. And he said, it no longer has to hide in the shadows. It will have a new transparency. He's among a small group of former government officials and scientists who, without presenting physical proof, say they are convinced that objects of undetermined origin have crashed on Earth with materials retrieved for study. But that's not in quotes, but that's big right there. I'd like to get the quotes. Why are they convinced? See, I guess it's complicated. They haven't actually seen it. It's compartmentalized. Now here's the kind of journalism I don't like. In some cases, earthly explanations have been found for previously unexplained events. Even lacking a plausible terrestrial explanation does not make an extraterrestrial one the most likely. Astrophysicists say. Well, I'm an astrophysicist, and I don't say that. I don't make that assumption. Majority Leader pushed for funding the earlier UFO program. He said he believed that crashes of objects of unknown origin may have occurred and that retrieved materials should be studied. May have occurred like in 1947. They tried to explain away that thing, but they didn't. That case is still open. He said, after looking into this, I came to the conclusion that there were reports, some were substantive, that there were actual materials that the government had in their possession. See, that's new because I know that the Clintons and other presidents, small number of government people who wanted to look into it and find out. There's even talk when Obama became president that he would finally get disclosure. Here he was on CNN. This was 2.5 years ago. Being on CNN here, this gives the story more legitimacy because we can see this person who's on the news. But at the same time, there's people who would say, well, CNN does fake news, but Fox has also been covering this story. So it's not a liberal conspiracy.
Covert government program up until this last November. Luis Elizondo. Luis, thank you so much for your time tonight. I mean, first, tell us what the purpose of the program was and why it was so secretive.
Sure. The purpose of the program, Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, was really designed to do just that. From a national security perspective, identify those things that we see, whether we see them electro-optically, we see them with radar. We have identified some very, very interesting anomalous type of aircraft, let's call them aircraft. Things that don't have any obvious flight surfaces, any obvious forms of propulsion, and maneuvering in ways that include extreme maneuverability beyond, I would submit, the healthy G-forces of a human or anything biological.
Yep.
Hypersonic velocities, low observability, positive lift, again, seemingly in defying the laws of aerodynamics.
But do you believe, when you get that Navy pilot saying what he said, do you think that was, a UFO, to obviously I don't have any other word to use, or that, or something else?
Sure, that's a great question. Keeping in mind, it's not just the pilot's testimony on an observation. Sure, when someone comes to you who's in charge of a multi-million-dollar weapon platform, who maintains a top secret security clearance.
But let's cut to the chase here. And Erin Burnett tries to do that, where she just asks him a yes or no question. But first of all, you'll notice that he doesn't say yes. And she points that out after.
So let me just ask you point blank the question. Do you believe that life from somewhere else, while you ran this program, came here, visited, observed?
I will tell you unequivocally that through the observation, scientific methodologies that were applied to look at this phenomena, that these aircraft, we'll call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory, nor in any foreign inventory that we are aware of.
So I know you're being clear, but I mean, the answer is yes.
I can't speak on behalf of the government. Obviously, I'm not in the U.S. government anymore. My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone, whatever that means.
What does he mean, whatever that means? Why doesn't he just say what he means? And why can't he say yes? He's not speaking for the government. Why can't he speak for himself? It's weird. But aside from the weirdness, that was a yes. Now let's get back to the story. Well, by the way, here's some guy who's suspecting that I am Durian Rider. For some things I said over there on that guy's channel, you know him, BioLane. You might want to go there afterwards and give me some support. Examination of materials had so far failed to determine their source and led him, an astrophysicist consultant for the Pentagon program, concluded we couldn't make it ourselves. Yeah, I want to get to what is the story here breaking today. I think this is one of the new lines here. Mr. Davis also said the retrievals are from off-world vehicles, not made on this Earth. Well, that kind of sums it up there. This astrophysicist is saying that he's seen aircraft retrieved that was not made on this Earth, which means alien craft. Well, I just finished the article. That was it. I was expecting more, but then we can see here now why this story was mysterious, and I couldn't find anything on Twitter. People were just making vague comments. And that's because the whole story is vague. I guess the Pentagon just said a couple days ago that they'll be releasing some more findings. And this is creating a whole bunch of speculation and buzz. And that's weird. That's weird. Maybe that's what they wanted. Maybe they're playing with us here. But why? Of course, some people will just say Fox will want to talk about anything but the virus and the president and the presidential virus, and the speculation that Trump has initiated this to distract. Well, even I don't really believe that. It could be, but I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. Anyway, the story goes back a few years, so it's just a continuation. But we'll just have to wait and see. So what do you think? Post a comment below. Oh, and also, I want to mention my last video. Something unusual happened after I uploaded it. I don't know what happened. Is it a mixture of the fact that people don't want to hear more about that? Part 2. And maybe that people didn't get a notification? Let me know if you got the notification. Maybe it was the S word that I used there. That's a really disturbing topic. Maybe that would be why YouTube didn't send out notifications. See, I need to know this stuff. I need to know which videos not to bother making because I spent so much time on that. It's my worst performing video ever and one of my best. And I'm not going to go on and on. It's crazy. YouTube is just ridiculous. I just need to know what's going to work. I can't keep making videos that people aren't going to watch. So post a comment below. Meanwhile, BioLane is he's winning. He's winning. He's getting a whole bunch of people watching him and believing his BS and going in the wrong direction. And none of them are listening to me.